Welcome back, guys. Today I'll show you how easy it is to make these wooden rustic mantels. Now these things sell year-round, but during the holiday season the demand for them goes way up, and I think that's simply because not everybody has a fireplace in their home or a place to actually hang stockings. And a lot of people buy them as a shelf that they can decorate, hang their stockings on. It's a temporary thing for the holidays, and it seems to work for people. So I'll show you how easy it is to make one of these. Let's jump right into it. This is our second product build in our series, A Free Christmas. And if you haven't seen the first video, I'll put a link at the top here as well as in the description. Basically, we're on our way to a $1,000 goal to cover some, if not all, of the holiday expenses by simply building easy DIY products that sell. Later in the video, we'll take a look at the sale and the numbers from the first build. All you're going to need for this project is 3 1x6 pickets, 1 2x4, stain, and some creativity. The first thing I like to do is throw it right in the gravel. Just stomp all over. Go ahead, take some of that frustration out. After that, I pull out the old bike chain on a vice grip tool.
What the hell is even that?
Don't worry if you don't have one. You can use any old chain or metal whipping device for this step. Just be creative. There's no right or wrong here. This is what makes every mantel shelf unique and one of a kind. Now for the final step of the distressing stage, I use a simple $2 wire wheel that fits right in my drill. This will open up the grain so that when the stain is applied, these areas will become much darker and should create some amazing depth to each piece. Now that we've completely destroyed each picket, we can get to work. First, determine the length you want and cut each piece to that length. I build mine at 4, 5, and 6 foot lengths, but you can make them whatever size you want. From there, I'll take them over to the table saw and rip one side of each piece at a 45-degree angle. I got way ahead of myself with this step and cut both sides at 45 and didn't even realize it till much later in the video. So don't do this. I ended up cutting it square again later in the video, but lost a ½ inch off the depth. Not really a big deal. From there, I'll go back to the miter saw and cross cut all the ends of the long boards at a 45-degree angle, as well as cut and bevel the 2 end caps. Now we can start assembly. Using masking tape is a great way to glue all your pieces together. Once you have 5 or 6 strips of tape laid across your work surface, just take each board and lay them side by side. Now you can start to glue up. This step can get real messy, so take your time. You want to try to eliminate as much glue squeeze out on the distressed sides of the wood as possible. Now simply roll the 3 long boards together and tighten them using the tape. Glue up your end caps, tape them into position, and set it aside to dry. Once the glue has completely dried, you'll notice the imperfections on the mitered edges right away. Not to worry, this will happen when you use this taping clamping method. Remember, we're building this as a rough timber look, so to bring it all together, I like to take my largest round screwdriver and roll each edge into one another by running up and down the mitered edges until they magically blend together. And for some reason, this is amazingly satisfying. Alright, so I did come in with a little bit of wood filler and touched up a couple of the gaps that I couldn't close up with the screwdriver. Gave it a light sand with 150 grit. Don't want to take off too much of that rustic look. Pretty much ready for the stain now. It's starting to look like one solid piece. I'm using a Jacobean stain, which is a really dark colored stain, and you'll notice once I wipe off the top coat that the dark color settles right into the distressed marks, giving the piece an aged look. Now, as I wipe it off, you can clearly start to see the detail show in the distressed areas. And for me, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Once the stain dries, it will dull down in appearance, but I still have to apply 2 coats of a water-based satin top coat, which should bring back the depth and give it that finished look again. To attach the mantel shelf to the wall, I use a French cleat system. Even though it looks like a heavy, solid beam, we know it's not, and really it doesn't weigh much at all. I never attach the French cleat until the mantel is completely finished. This allows me to determine what I consider to be the best upright position. The French cleat is made by ripping down a 2x4 at a 45-degree angle and then ripping each of those 2 pieces in half. Basically, with 1 2x4, you'll get 2 complete French cleat hangers. The French cleat that gets glued into the mantel is measured from inside to inside of the mantel. We want this to be a tight fit, and the length of of the other half that gets mounted to the wall, I cut 2 inches less than the first piece. This allows us to have a 1-inch adjustment from side to side if we need it. On the wall mount cleat, I pre-drill and countersink holes starting at 2 inches in from each side and then every 4 inches after that. Most homes are built with studs at 16 inch on center, so this will ensure a solid connection to the studs in the wall. Then just glue and clamp it flush with the back of the mantle. While that's drying, I'm going to head on inside, figure out the best location for the one I'm going to keep. I was able to make 3 of these over the course of a day, but I messed up the first one by cutting the extra miter, so I'm adding it to our decor this year and I'll just sell the other 2. Here I'm just marking out the studs in the wall so I have something secure to mount the French cleat to. With it secure and level, just slide the mantle over the French cleat and voila, instant mantle. The only sensible thing for me to do now is step out of the picture and let the pros in. Alright, so before we end the video, let's take a quick look at where we're at on our journey toward our $1,000 goal for this season. Our first product build was the 4-foot spiral Christmas tree. Took a couple weeks, but we did sell it for $225. I think we were just a bit early to the season. We started kind of mid-November, but anyway, it's gone now. And the material cost on that project was $24. That included the 2 2x4s, the 1-inch dowel, and the 2 different colored stains that we used, leaving us with a $201 profit. That leaves us $799 shy of our $1,000 goal, but hopefully we can get these 2 mantles sold right away and on to the next project. Oh, and just one more thing. We set up a new email, so if you want to continue contributing and sharing your own DIY creations, use this email instead. I'll make sure to list it in the description below. Until next time, peace, keep on building.